Chapter 1: The Vanishing Manuscript.
The storm that had been battering Windmere for hours finally began to wane. Outside, the relentless wind howled and the rain pummeled the windows of the Blackwood mansion, creating a ceaseless symphony of noise that reverberated through the old house. The mansion stood like a sentinel in the midst of the storm, its ivy-clad walls and Gothic architecture lending it an air of both grandeur and foreboding. Inside, the atmosphere was tense and heavy, as if the storm had seeped into the very fabric of the house.
Oliver Blackwood, the mansion's reclusive owner, sat in his study, his face illuminated by the flickering light of a single desk lamp. The room was filled with the rich aroma of aged leather and old books, and the scent of wet earth from the storm outside. Shelves lined with leather-bound volumes and ancient manuscripts filled every corner, casting long, ominous shadows on the walls. The study was a testament to Oliver's obsession with his family's storied past. It was here that he kept the treasures of the Blackwood legacy: historical documents, personal journals, and rare manuscripts that had been meticulously collected over the years. At the heart of Oliver's collection lay The Last Echo, a manuscript that had become almost legendary in the local lore. This was said to be the final work of Vincent Blackwood, Oliver's great-uncle, a celebrated but elusive author whose manuscripts were known for their complexity and hidden messages. The Last Echo was reputed to be a masterpiece, containing layers of intrigue and mystery that captivated those fortunate enough to read it. Oliver had always been a man of secrets, and The Last Echo was his most prized possession. He had sworn an oath to protect it at all costs. The manuscript was kept in a glass-fronted case within the study, but tonight, with the storm raging outside, Oliver had removed it from its protective enclosure, placing it on his mahogany desk. He admired it with a sense of reverence, knowing it was both a precious heirloom and a testament to his family's literary prowess. As the storm began to lose its fury, Oliver turned his attention back to the manuscript. He had been reviewing it, analyzing the various notes and annotations in the margins, which were characteristic of Vincent Blackwood's intricate style. The rain had started to taper off, and the sound of the storm outside was beginning to fade, replaced by the rhythmic drip of water from the eaves of the mansion. Just as Oliver was about to close the manuscript and return it to its case, he heard a peculiar sound, a faint rustling, almost imperceptible, but distinctly out of place in the otherwise quiet study. He dismissed it as the house settling from the storm, but a gnawing sense of unease remained with him. Minutes turned into hours, and as the clock struck midnight, Oliver prepared to retire for the night. He carefully placed The Last Echo back in its case, secured it with a lock, and set the case back in its designated spot. He double-checked the study door to ensure it was securely locked from the inside, a precaution he always took to protect his valuable collection. Oliver retired to his bedroom, but sleep eluded him. His mind was preoccupied with thoughts of the manuscript and its significance. He could not shake the feeling that something was amiss. With the storm having subsided, the silence in the mansion felt almost unnatural. He tossed and turned in his bed, but eventually, exhaustion overcame him, and he drifted into a restless sleep. The tranquility of the early morning was shattered when Oliver awoke with a start. A sense of dread gnawed at him as he remembered The Last Echo. Panic gripped him as he hurried out of bed and dashed to the study. He reached for the door, only to find it locked from the inside as he had left it. With trembling hands, Oliver fumbled with the key and finally managed to unlock the door. The study was eerily still. The first thing he noticed was the absence of the manuscript from its glass case. His breath caught in his throat as he rushed to the desk, where he had left The Last Echo. The case was open, and the manuscript was gone. Oliver's initial shock quickly gave way to frantic desperation. He scanned the room with feverish intensity, his mind racing as he overturned books and scattered papers. Every shelf, every drawer, and every nook was scrutinized, but there was no trace of the prized manuscript. The study, which had previously been Oliver's sanctuary, now felt like a scene from a nightmare. The only clue left behind was a small, barely noticeable footprint on the desk's surface. It was as if the manuscript had vanished into thin air, leaving no other signs of a struggle or break-in. Oliver examined the footprint closely, noting that it appeared to be of a size that could belong to an adult. The detail was intriguing, but not immediately helpful. There were no signs of forced entry, and everything else in the room appeared to be in its usual place. Oliver's mind raced as he tried to piece together what could have happened. He remembered locking the door and ensuring that the study was secure. The only other people who had access to the mansion were the staff: Mrs. Adams, the elderly maid, Mr. Brooks, the gardener, and Mr. Hayes, the security guard. They were all trustworthy, but Oliver could not shake the feeling that someone might have taken advantage of the storm to slip into the study. He immediately contacted the local sheriff, who, in turn, dispatched Detective Clara Mitchell to investigate the case. Clara was a former Windermere resident who had moved away years ago to pursue a career in law enforcement. Her return to the town was unexpected, but the urgency of the case warranted her expertise. As Oliver waited for Clara's arrival, he retraced his steps from the previous evening, trying to recall any unusual occurrences or details that might shed light on the mystery. His frustration mounted as he considered the possibility of an intruder who had managed to bypass the study's defenses. The notion that someone had been able to infiltrate his secure study was unsettling, and Oliver found himself questioning the integrity of the people he trusted. Finally, a knock at the door signaled the arrival of Detective Clara Mitchell. Oliver opened the door to find Clara, her expression a mix of curiosity and professionalism. She was dressed in a dark trench coat and had a determined look in her eyes. "Mr. Blackwood?" Clara greeted him with a firm handshake. "I'm Detective Clara Mitchell. I understand there's been a theft. Can you tell me exactly what happened?" Oliver's face was etched with anxiety as he led Clara into the study. "Detective Mitchell, thank you for coming on such short notice. The manuscript, The Last Echo, it's missing. I left it here on my desk last night, and now it's gone. The study was locked from the inside." Clara surveyed the room, her keen eyes noting the open glass case and the disheveled state of the desk. "I see. I'll need to examine the area thoroughly. When was the last time you saw the manuscript?"